friends, I am back, if you could really call it back. Not that I uploaded a whole bunch before on YouTube, but welcome to my channel. This channel will be talking about books of all kinds, my mood reading, book hauls, what I'm reading, my thoughts on what I'm reading. It's nothing fancy because I'm not a big editor, filmmaker, whatever you want to call it. But if you are watching, thank you so much for watching. I hope to be more consistent with my YouTube uploading versus 2 years ago before the pandemic started. So yeah, I thought to start off me coming back to YouTube, to start with a book haul. And this book haul, don't be confused. This is not like I went shopping this past weekend and bought a whole bunch of books. These are books that I have accumulated over the last few months because I've been very intentional with my book buying. I want to make sure that my home library, as you can see behind me, consists of books that I would reread or I would let friends borrow because I love them so much, and classics as well. So I've been very intentional with that. And don't get me wrong, I know that sales are very important for authors, especially new authors or indie authors. So I just want to throw that out there, but I've been trying to support my public library a lot more. So I've been reading a lot of books from my library, whether it's on my Kobo, which is my e-reader, or picking up the physical book at the library. So just wanted to throw that out there. I'm very proud of myself for sticking with like my intentional book buying. I don't want to call it a ban because it's not a ban. But again, just want to be intentional. So these are just some of the books that I've picked up over the last few months that I wanted to share. Some of them aren't that much talked about on Bookstagram or even BookTube for that matter. So maybe these will be some books that you want to add to your TBR. So the first book is Gilead by Marilynne Robinson. I'm sure some of you have seen this book around. I haven't seen it too much on Bookstagram, but it is a book that Oprah loved and a whole bunch of other big names really love. This has been on my TBR for quite a while, so I finally decided to pick it up. It is a literary fiction, and I love literary fiction, especially when I'm in the mood for it, because I'm a very big mood reader. But yeah, so it is called Gilead. Do not confuse that with The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. They are not in any way related to each other. But I have heard that this is more of a dry, like slow literary fiction. So if that's something that you're into, you'll want to put this one on your TBR. So I'll just read the synopsis so you kind of have an idea what it's about. It's 1956 in Gilead, Iowa, towards the end of the Reverend John Ames' life. The son and grandson of preachers, he is absorbed in recording his family's story, a legacy for the young child he will never see grow up. Haunted by his grandfather's presence, John tells of the rift between his grandfather and his father, the elder, an angry visionary who fought for the cause, and his son, an ardent pacifist. He is troubled too by his prodigal namesake, Jack John Ames Bowton, his best friend's lost son who returns to Gilead searching for a salvation the town might not hold. Sounds really good. I know it might not be everybody's cup of tea, but it is a book that I'm definitely excited for when I'm in the mood for it. So we'll see when that is. The next book is a classic that I have wanted to read for a while. I have never read anything by this author, but a lot of people have recommended this specific book for me. So it is East of Eden by John Steinbeck. I personally really love, let me see if it'll focus. I personally love this cover. I just really like the Penguin Classics covers in general. So this was the version that I decided to go with. Yeah, I've never read Steinbeck, so I'm very excited to read my first one. I read a couple of pages when I thought I was in the mood to read this one, and I can just tell that I'm really going to enjoy it. So this one, in his journal, Steinbeck called East of Eden the first book, and indeed it has the primordial power and simplicity of myth. Set in the rich farmland of California's Salinas Valley, this sprawling and often brutal novel follows the intertwined destinies of two families, whose generations helplessly reenact the fall of Adam and Eve and the poisonous rivalry of Cain and Abel. Sounds so good. If you can't tell, I do really like books that kind of have to do with like religious undertones. I studied religion in university. Not that I am a religious person, but I do really enjoy stories like that. So I'm very excited for East of Eden and Gilead. This next one I'm so excited for. One, the cover is just gorgeous, and two, it is like a story about Marie Antoinette, and I love Marie Antoinette. I love anything from that era. So it is When We Lost Our Heads by Heather O'Neill. Look how gorgeous. It's just a gorgeous cover. If you can't tell, it's Marie Antoinette. I actually didn't even realize it until I really looked at the cover. But it just sounds so good. It's got really great reviews, and I'm just really excited to get into it. So I'll give you a little bit of a synopsis. Charismatic Marie Antoine is the daughter of the richest man in 19th century Montreal. She has everything she wants except for a best friend, until clever, scheming Sadie Arnett moves to the neighborhood. Immediately united by their passion and intensity, Mary and Sadie attract and repel each other in ways that thrill them both. Their games soon become tinged with risk, even violence. Forced to separate by the adults around them, the two spend years engaged in acts of alternating innocence and excess. And when a singular event brings them together, the dizzying effects will upend the city. Sounds really good. I'm so excited to read it. It is a little bit of a longer book, but it just sounds really good. This next one, I'm not too sure if it's considered a classic. No idea. I thought it was, but I have no idea. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it is the Poisonwood Bible by Barbara Kingsolver. I have heard lots and lots of great things about this book. It's a big one. But I really love long books that go into detail about characters' lives and their families, especially if it spans over a few years, which I think this one does. But it just sounds really good. So I'll read you the synopsis for this one. The Poisonwood Bible is a story told by the wife and 4 daughters of Nathan Price, a fierce evangelical Baptist who takes his family in mission to the Belgian Congo in 1959. They carry with them everything they believe they will need from home, but soon find that all of it, from garden seeds to scripture, is transformed on African soil. What follows is a suspenseful epic of one family's tragic undoing and remarkable reconstruction over the course of 3 decades in post-colonial Africa. I can't speak, but sounds so good. And I just realized this is another book that's got religious undertones. So if you can see what type of books I like to read, there you go. But yeah, this sounds really good. And so many people have read it and have raved about it and said it's amazing. So I'm super excited to read that one. The next one is The Italian Teacher by Tom Rackman. I think that's how you say the last name. This is another one where I just really love the cover. I think it's stunning. This is one that I've kind of heard on Bookstagram, not too much. Bookstagram, you know, like I love Bookstagram, don't get me wrong, but it's always the same type of books that are being posted and talked about. So I am trying to find, you know, books that aren't talked about as much because there's so many out there, they deserve to be talked about. So this is definitely one of them. Have really not seen too many people talk about it, but from what I have seen, it's apparently really good. So this one says, conceived while his father, Bear Bavinski, cavorted around Rome in the 1950s, Pinch learns quickly that Bear's genius trumps all. After Bear abandons his family, Pinch strives to make himself worthy of his father's attention. First by trying to be a painter himself, then resolving to write his father's biography, eventually settling disillusioned into a job as an Italian teacher in London. But when Bear dies, Pinch hatches an audacious scheme to secure his father's legacy and make his own mark in the world. Sounds super good. I know it might sound boring for some people, but to me, sounds really good. I just love complex, raw, real, sometimes crappy characters. And I don't know, just sounds really good. It kind of gives me the Goldfinch vibes. And I don't really know how I feel about the Goldfinch, but this one sounds really, really good. The next one is the Orenda by Joseph Boyden. This one I would say is like a classic Canadian read. I have wanted to read this for so long, like since it came out, which was quite a while ago. And I went to a used book sale, I think back in December, and I saw this one, so I decided to get it because I had to. It won the Canada Reads competition in 2014. It also was on the long list for the Scotiabank Giller Prize, which is the biggest literary prize in Canada. And it was also on the Governor General's Literary Awards finalist, which is pretty impressive. Again, it's another long book. I don't know what I'm doing getting all these long books when I'm a total mood reader, but super excited for this one. So this one says, the Orenda opens with the kidnapping of Snow Falls, a spirited Iroquois girl with a special gift. Her captor Bird is an elder and one of the Huron nation's great warriors and statesmen. Although it's been years since the murder of his family members, they're never far from his mind. In Snow Falls, Bird recognizes the ghost of his lost daughter. He sees that the girl possesses powerful magic, something useful to him and his people on the troubled road ahead. The Huron nation has battled the Iroquois for as long as Bird can remember, but both tribes now face a new, more dangerous peril from afar. Sounds really good. Again, but yeah, this has been on my list for a really long time. So any of these books so far, if you have read them, please let me know. Let me know your thoughts. Unless you hated them, I'm not sure I want to really hear that because I'm so excited to read these. But yeah, sounds super good. The next one, actually the next two I purchased this past week because I am just really in the mood for a good rom-com. And these two just sound so good and their covers are super cute. So I'm really excited. I've already started one of them. So the first one is One Night on the Island by Josie Silver. So this one is set in Ireland. Never been, really want to go. It's kind of funny that I picked this one up because I did not like One Day in December by Josie Silver. So I really don't know why I thought I would go with this one, but hey, maybe I read One Day in December at a time where the story just wasn't for me. But this one just sounds really good, really cute. So it says, spending her 30th birthday alone is not what dating columnist Cleo Wilder wanted, but she plans a solo retreat at the insistence of her boss in the name of re-energizing herself and adding a new perspective to her column. The remote Irish island she's booked is a far cry from London, but at least is a chance to hunker down in a luxury cabin and indulge in some self-care while she figures out the next steps in her love life and career. Max Sullivan is also looking forward to some time to himself. With his life in Boston deteriorating in ways he can't bring himself to acknowledge, his soul searching has brought him to the same island to explore his Irish roots and find some clarity. Unfortunately, a mix-up with the bookings means both have reserved the same hideaway on exactly the same dates. Doesn't that sound so fun? I just love any rom-com that is set in the UK or in Europe. Just, through these times right now, I just want to be whisked away to a different place. And I'm sure this one will do that. I already started. I'm not too far in. I've read like 20 pages. That's because I'm in the middle of like 4 books right now, which is probably not helping my mood reading or my reading slump, but super excited to start that one. And then the last one, this one, I just love the cover. The title really grabbed me and I'm just so excited for it. It's One Italian Summer by Rebecca Searle. I think that's how you say the last name. I have not read in 5 years. I do have it, have not read it. But Italy, like that's just what got me. I lived in Italy for a few months, a few years back, and any story that is set in Italy, I want to read. So this one just sounds really good. Lots of people have loved it so far. It just came out last week, but the reviews so far have been really great. So it says, when Katie's mother dies, she is left reeling. Carol wasn't just Katie's mom, but her best friend and first phone call. Even Katie's husband can't seem to get through to her. She is lost without her anchor. Her mother was her true north. To make matters worse, the mother-daughter trip of a lifetime looms, going to Positano, following the very same route Carol did as a young woman. Katie has been waiting years for Carol to take her, and now suddenly she is faced with embarking on the adventure alone. But as soon as she steps on the beautiful Amalfi Coast, buoyed by the stunning cliffsides, delectable food, and charming hotel staff, Katie begins to feel her mother's spirit. Isn't that so cute? And also, I should actually keep going because I didn't even realize this part. And then Carol appears for real, in the flesh, healthy and suntanned, and 30 years old. Katie doesn't understand what is happening or how, but over the course of her time in Italy, Katie gets to know Carol in this new form, and soon she must reconcile the mother who knew everything with the young woman who does not yet have a clue. I didn't even read that paragraph. I don't know what I was thinking, but that sounds so good. I'm so excited to read it. It'll get me all ready for spring and summer, which we all desperately are looking forward to. So that is my little book haul. It's not too many books, but that's what I have picked up over the last few months. If you have read any of them, if any of these ones are also on your list, let me know. And let me know what types of videos you want to see. I know lots of people like reading vlogs, so that is definitely on my plan to do, as well as book reviews. So hopefully I can get over my reading slump and finish the books that I've got going on so I can come on here and talk about it. But that is all. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye!